Good morning, fam. It's your boy Miller, father of three, advocate for kids, and champion for my students. With the belief that it takes a village to raise a child, we need to have a quick village meeting. So all my parents of middle schoolers, high schoolers, and even some elementary schoolers, as we move into this next season of school, we need to have a conversation. So come on in. This is for y'all. This is coming from a high school educator and coming from a parent, from a father of three teenagers, a 12-year-old, a 14-year-old going on 15, and a 17-year-old. Okay, so I think I'm a little versed in this subject. And here's the topic of this quick conversation. You don't know your child as well as you think you know your child. I know you mad and I know that jumped you right into your feelings, but swim out your feelings for just a second just so we can have a real conversation. Yes, it is true that you being the parent are the expert when it comes to your child, but I want to challenge you with the statement that you don't know your child as much as you think you know your child. And the reason why that is because there's two versions of your kid. There's the version of the student that you know, the one that's respectful, that's quiet when you're correcting them, that may give you a little bit of attitude every once in a while, but when you check them, they listen. You know your version of your son and daughter who crawl up in your bed when they want something, still want you, and when they're scared, still need you and depend on you when they're insecure. That's the kid you know. And that same sweet baby girl and junior that you've been raising for the last 14, 15, 16 years, you send that kid to your local high school and they become someone else. We ain't talking they bad or they good or they right or they wrong. They just adjust to the environment that they now are in. Because for some reason, us adults feel or forget the fact that young people are people. They are human beings, and human beings are naturally adaptable. We adapt to the environment that we in. So mom and dad, auntie, grandma, the child that you are seeing is the child that adapts to the environment of your home, where talking back is not acceptable, where speaking to adults crazy is not acceptable, where if you talk out the side of your neck good enough, you may get thrown down a flight of steps. That's the rule in the culture and the climate at your house. Now let's talk about what's going on at your kids' high school. The environment is completely different. There are more kids in that environment than there are adults. That's usually not the case at home. There's usually more adults than kids. The ratio is different. At my high school, there's 1,900 students, maybe 200 adults on a good day. The adults are outnumbered. Please understand that your kid, that your sweet child, is under the direct influence of 19, 23, 3,900 other students now. And though they may not know, talk to, interact, or may not be influenced by all 1,900 of the students, there's about 4 or 5, maybe 6 or 7 of those kids that really mean the world to your son and to your daughter. And what they say and how they feel and what they think is law when they're at that school. At the school where the parent does not exist. Mind you, the kid spends a lot of their time in this environment versus at home. They spend 5 days out of the week, 8 hours every day, 180 days out of the year in that environment versus at home. And this ain't got nothing to do with your kid being good, bad, or right or wrong. They are just human, living a human experience. So why is this important for you to know? Well, let's talk about it. Because at some point, the adults at your school may have to call you, and they may require you to come in because they want to have a conversation. And the adults that exist in that space where your child is for 180 days out of the year may be seeing, may be experiencing a different version of your kid. So when you find yourself as the parent sitting at a long conference table in a conference room with the assistant principal, with the principal, with the counselor, with several of the teachers, and all of these adults are telling you that they are having an experience with your son and or daughter that may or may not be the polar opposite of how you're experiencing your child at home, it will probably be your natural instinct to say, that's not my kid. My kid would never. You can't be talking about mine. They are. Because when you ask your kid, when you ask your son and ask your daughter about what they're talking about, of course they're going to deny it. They're going to say, no, mommy, that wasn't me. I didn't do it. No, that's not true. And you will find yourself in a position to either have to believe a child that you've known for 14, 15 years, or believe the word of some adults that you've probably never even seen before, don't know, from a can of salt. Your natural instinct is going to tell you to believe your child because you know your kid, right? But I want you to consider this in this moment, and we're going to end the conversation on this. Between your child that live with you, go home with you, and the adults that work at the school, which one of them have the biggest motivation to lie to you? Consider this as an adult. Why would another grown adult that has their own mortgage, paying their own bills, got their own responsibility, why would they have the need to lie to you? How does the principal benefit from telling you your son is possibly in a gang when he is not? How does that benefit her? What does the teacher gain, and how does the teacher benefit by lying on your student, telling you that your student is disrespectful to her in class when your student is not being disrespectful? How does that benefit her? What bonus, what pay increase, what quota that they are meeting by telling you that they need to now suspend your beautiful daughter or your son because they have evidence that your daughter, that your son was bullying another student? Where the extra money coming from for lying? Where it coming from? Look, I'm a firm believer in advocating and defending your child if need be. But if several adults at your child's school are all saying the same thing about your kid and how they're experiencing your student, chances are they're probably telling the truth. And there's no need for you feeling embarrassed or feeling no kind of way as the parent, because you are not in control of your child and all the decisions that they make. If they were perfect, they wouldn't need adults. They're kids. Kids are going to lie. Kids are going to make mistakes. When they do it, all the adults need to apply the appropriate amount of pressure to change the behavior. That's all that is. Don't be cussing out the principal. Don't be cussing out the teachers. They're not lying on your kid. They're just telling you and giving you the information you need for you to apply the pressure that you need to make the corrections that need to be made. That's all that is.